All right, everyone, welcome back. We're diving into a story today that's, well, it's heavy, but it's important. We're talking about the hostages in Gaza.
It's a situation that's just heartbreaking. So much uncertainty and fear.
Absolutely. And today we're going to we're focusing on one story, the story of amilydamari, to be exact.
Trying to understand the human impact of this conflict.
Yeah, exactly. Because, you read the headlines, but it's hard to grasp what it's actually like.
To be caught in the middle of it all.
Right. So Emily is a British-Israeli woman, 28 years old, and she was held hostage by Hamas for 15 months. Just think about that for a second. 15 months.
It's unimaginable.
Thankfully, she was released earlier this month,
Part of a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas.
which is, at least a glimmer of hope in all of this. They're hoping to get more hostages released soon.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
So Emily was taken from her home on October 7th, 2023.
Yeah.
And just the details are just terrifying. She was shot twice.
Forced into her own car.
Yeah. With two of her friends. And then, well, this is where it gets really complicated, and this is why we wanted to talk about her story. She's claiming that she was held in, get this, a UNRWA facility.
That's a pretty serious allegation. A lot of people probably don't even know what UNRWA is.
Right, like you hear UN and you think, okay, peacekeeping, humanitarian aid, all that. So can you maybe give us a quick explainer on what UNRWA is and what they're doing in Gaza?
Sure. UNRWA stands for the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East. So they're specifically focused on Palestinian refugees. They provide education, healthcare, and all sorts of essential services to millions of people.
And they're operating in, a war zone, basically.
Exactly. Gaza is incredibly complex and dangerous. There are constant security risks, political tensions are super high, and resources are extremely limited.
So how does this accusation about Emily being held in one of their facilities, how does that play into all of this?
It adds a whole other layer of complexity, that's for sure, because Israel has long been critical of UNRWA.
What do they say specifically?
Well, they accuse them of being biased against Israel. They also say that Hamas uses UNRWA facilities for their own operations.
So this is a very politically charged situation.
It is, and Emily's story is right at the center of it, especially because she also claims that she was denied proper medical treatment.
Oh, wow. And she was shot. Twice, remember?
Yeah, she lost 2 fingers and had a gunshot wound to the leg. Pretty serious injuries.
So this is a really difficult situation for UNRWA to be in. What have they said about all of this?
Well, they've responded by saying that when the war began, most of their buildings were turned into shelters for displaced people.
So they're saying they had to make tough choices.
Yeah. They were operating in a chaotic situation with limited resources. They've also been very clear that they want all hostages released, and they're calling for independent investigations into any claims of their premises being misused.
It's a lot.
Yeah. But I think it's important to remember that independent verification is crucial here. We need to get all the facts before drawing any conclusions.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, Emily and her mother, they're not waiting around for answers. They've actually appealed directly to the UK Prime Minister.
They want him to put pressure on Hamas and UNRWA.
Right. They want the Red Cross to have access to their remaining 82 hostages.
That's so important.
It is. But, it highlights the whole issue of humanitarian aid in conflict zones, which is a whole other can of worms.
Right. It's extremely difficult to get aid to the people who need it, to keep aid workers safe. You're constantly hitting roadblocks, a lot of them political.
It's a high-stakes game.
Yeah.
And it's easy to forget that there are real people at the center of this. Emily's story is just one, but it reminds us of that human cost.
It definitely does. And even though 3 more hostages are supposed to be released soon, Yarden Bibas, Keith Siegel, and Offer Calderon,
Yeah, it's not over.
it's far from over.
So I guess stepping back from all of this,
Yeah.
Emily's ordeal shows us the consequences of this conflict in a very real way.
It shows how complex the situation is. Humanitarian aid, hostage negotiations, it's all so difficult.
It really is. It makes you think, what is the responsibility of organizations like the UN in all of this?
I mean, how do you ensure the safety of civilians when they're caught in the crossfire?
That's a question we all need to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's a lot to process, we know that, but it's important to stay informed.
And to remember the people whose lives are being impacted every single day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We encourage you to keep learning about this conflict and the stories of those affected by it.